Here we go, guys, and it's kind of a short day today because we have yes, hey, all right. So I'm up here now, and today's lesson is called Rationalizing the Denominator. All right, for whatever reason, and I always tell kids every year, I'm not exactly sure why, but the mathematicians all got together and said we're not allowed to have irrational numbers in the denominator. All right. So when someone writes 2 over the square root of 3, all right, we're not allowed to have a square root of 3 in the denominator. All right, so we have to fix it. We have to make it rational. All right, and to make it rational, look how simple it is. All you have to do is multiply the top and bottom by whatever the radical is on the bottom. So for example, number 1, we would just simply multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 3. All right.
Because then when you multiply the 2 square roots, it's the same number.
Yes, that's exactly right. So right now I'm trying to emphasize this because sometimes on standardized tests they ask you a question about certain numbers. Right now the square root of 3 is called a what type of number? Irrational. That's exactly right. That just means no matter how hard you try, you can't write it as a fraction. All right. Now, when I multiply the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, I get what?
3.
Yes, we get 3. So now the denominator has 3. All right, now when I multiply 2 times the square root of 3, it just is 2 square roots of 3. So that's how hard that is. All right, it's very, very simple. Very simple. Yes.
Where's the twist?
So why did you use where's the
Shh. Because what is the square root of 3 over square root of 3? And why is that possible? Why am I even allowed to do that? What is the square root of 3 divided by the square root of 3? That's the same as 1. So whenever you multiply something by 1, it doesn't really change the number. It does not change the number. Do you hear me? It just changes its form. You with me? So 2 divided by the square root of 3, if you rationalize the denominator, it becomes 2 radical 3 over 3. Good with that? All right. So with that in mind, let's take a look at question number 3.
That'd be 10 radical 5 over 5.
Right. So what we're going to do is, again, you're going to multiply the top and bottom by the radical. All right, come on. And when you get this, now you end up with 10 radical 5 over what? Over 5. All right. Now you're to the point where you always look to see if you can reduce fractions. So in this case right here, what you're looking at is the rational number itself, which is 10, and you're looking at 5. Because those are both rational numbers, you can reduce them. All right. So if I reduce that, that becomes a what? That's it. It's just that simple. 2 radical 5. Now, if you write 2 radical 5 over 1, that's perfectly fine. All right, it's the same thing. Anybody have any questions? Again, very simple, just the rules. Very simple, just rules. All right. So now we're looking at question number 5. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to multiply the top and bottom by what?
Radical 5.
We're going to multiply the top and bottom by radical 3. All right. Now when we do it, this one's a little bit different because you have to distribute the radical 3. So say it again. Come on now. Just remember what I told you yesterday. Stop just saying things. Think before you speak.
Is it?
So you're going to multiply this together. What does that become?
2 radical 3.
That's 2 radical 3. Now you're going to multiply radical 3 times radical 3, which is just what?
Minus 3.
Minus 3 all over what?
3.
All over 3. Come on now. Make sure you're seeing that. Now the question is, just one second, can I reduce this 3 and this 3? Never reduce bounded by addition and subtraction. The only way you're going to be able to reduce that is if this number right here was like a 6. Then they could all be reduced by 3. You cannot individually reduce things if they're bounded by addition and subtraction. And again, I always try to tell kids how I figured this out. If I said 4 minus 2 over 2, can I just cross out the 2's? No, because that would be 4 minus 1, which is 3. But 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's not the same. Does everybody agree? So I have to, if I'm going to divide, I have to divide both of them. All right, you have to divide both of them. All right, Carly, what?
So I'm a little bit confused. So basically, so for the 2 minus radical 3, so basically you multiply, I understand.
You're distributing.
Yeah, I understand that.
So you're telling me you understand the numerator.
Yes. So that negative, well, I don't understand the thing. So how it has a negative sign in front of the radical 3, that I don't understand. Why does that negative just automatically go back to the 3?
Because come on, Carl, it's like this. If I said 4 times x minus 2, that would be 4x minus 8. You're asking me why is that negative just because it's negative here?
Oh. Well, why isn't it in front of the radical, like on another problem? Like
Do you understand that this radical 3 is not the same as this radical 3? Do you understand
Yes,
that?
I understand.
So I'm not sure what your question is as far as what. Look, square root of 3 multiplied by 2 minus radical 3. That's what this is up here. Do you understand that? I'm just multiplying. So I'm multiplying this times this. What is that?
2 radical 3.
And what is radical 3 times negative radical 3?
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
All right, any questions with number 5?
How come when you're like putting those dividing it by the radical things, or when you're multiplying that, how come it's not 2 or 2 minus 3? Like
Because right here, I'm distributing a radical 3. Try not to think about what we did yesterday. Think about I'm multiplying that times that. What is that? You can't. That's why it's 2 radical 3.
But you can multiply it by the radical 3.
Right. So now, what's radical 3 times radical 3? That's where that is. So when I multiply the square root of 3 times 2, I don't get 6.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Keep concentrating. Cole, you with me? All right, number 7. What am I multiplying the top and bottom by?
Radical 11. So is it 2 radical 11 minus radical 33 over 11?
That's how simple. I'm listening. Go ahead.
So why wouldn't it be 2 radical 33 minus radical 33 over 11?
How do you get this to be a 33?
Because
I'm multiplying 2 times the square root of 11. How do you get a 33 out of that?
Oh.
I'm just multiplying square root of 11 times 2.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going square root of 11 times 3. Will. All right, here we go. Multiplying the top and bottom by what? By radical 5. I'm listening. What? Radical 35 plus radical 15 over 5. Can you reduce any of the 5s? No. You can't reduce a 35 and a 5. Caroline, you all right over there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Can you reduce it?
What? Shh.
No, we have to.
You cannot reduce a radical and a number. You cannot reduce a radical and a number. I don't care about that. Shh. Come on. Number 11. Okay, number 11, a little bit harder now. First and foremost, your brain should not even look at square root of 12. Again, listen to me. When somebody says the square root of 12, you should just say that it's not even 4 times 3 anymore, but what?
2 radical 3.
You should be automatically just say it's 2 radical 3. So 14, and then this down here is 2 radical 3. Come on, I'm asking you to break down the square root of 12. We've done it for 3 days. How do I break down the square root of 12? And then? No, not 6 and 2. Square root of 12 is the same as 4 times 3. Right? And what's the square root of 4? That's why I got 2 radical 3. You hear me now, right? So again, anytime your radical can be broken down, you should break it down. All right? Now, we reduce the fraction. Always try to reduce the fraction. When I reduce the fraction, what do I get?
7 over radical 3.
That is correct. 7 over radical 3. What?
I don't know how you got 7 over radical 3.
Really? Come on, look up there on the board. And what 2 numbers are on? And listen, you know I'm not fussing at you. I'm just trying to get your brain thinking. Read on the left. This up here.
Wait,
Shh. Read that. Give me 2 numbers that make 7.
Did you divide 14 by 2?
You shouldn't even ask that.
Okay.
That's the only way I can make what?
Okay.
That's what listen, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you for next year when you go to high school, you're going to have to be able to take notes. The math teachers are not going to break it down like this. I promise you. Right? You're going to have to be able to say, well, how in the world am I getting 7? The only way to get a 7 with 14 and 2 is just to do what? Divide. I'm trying to get you to be able to make in your own head a judgment. What is he doing? All right? Now we're back to the old. So now what do? What am I doing now? Yes, now that we've simplified, we're going to multiply the top and bottom by radical 3.
So 7 radical 3.
There you go. 7 radical 3 over 3. Anybody have any issues? Any issues? All right, let's take a look. 13. Now, we've said this a bunch. 72 comes up a lot. 72 comes up a lot. Now, I would want you just to, at this stage, just be able to tell me 72 is just what? No.
36 over
So instead of now saying 36 and 2, just tell me the answer. 6 radical 2. That's how you're supposed to be. You're not thinking of 72 as the square root of 72 anymore. We've done it enough now that you should see 72 is 36 times 2. So the square root of 36 is what? 6. All right? So this now is 6 radical 2. Anytime somebody tells you square root of 72, you just say it's 6 radical 2.
If you did 8 times 5.
Yes, you can do it, but it's just going to take you more time to do it. You with me? That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to put in your brain 72. I want you to think of 72 as 6 radical 2 from now on. Because 36 times 2. The reason I'm saying that is because I know 72 occurs a lot on standardized tests. Because they know kids will do 9 times 8 and think they have the right answer. Now what do I do? What's the next step?
Then you multiply.
No, think for yourself. Come on.
You like multiply the radical up.
Nope.
Oh no, you reduce. Sorry.
Reduce the fraction.
So it's
So when I reduce the fraction, it becomes
over radical 2.
exactly 6 over radical 2.
And then you
Come on, Carly, what? Shh.
I got 6 radical 2 over 2.
We're on the next step, kiddo.
Oh, so is that what you? Oh, I thought.
So now we're multiplying the top and bottom by radical 2. And now we get 6 radical 2 over 2.
I thought that was.
And then what?
then you simplify it.
2.
You want 3 radical 2.
Beautiful. 3 radical 2, guys. All right, come on. It's not that hard. If you know how to reduce fractions, it's kind of easy. Radicals can reduce. Numbers can reduce. A radical and a number cannot reduce. All right? All right, that's not really that hard. All right, here we go. So now on 15, what are we doing?
Are you multiplying by 4 radical 2?
What am I multiplying by?
Radical 2.
Just radical 2 over radical 2. And when I do that, that becomes what?
3 radical 2 over 3.
3 radical 2 over
2.
8. Thank you for those guys who said 8.
Oh.
Because again, what is the square root of 2 times the square root of 2?
2 and 4 times 2.
4 times 2 is 8. All right, any issues with that? All right, let's see what's next. Yeah, here we go. So let's just practice from yesterday and the day before. All right. So what's the square root of 3 times the square root of 3? 3. 3 times 4.
12.
Look how simple that is, guys. 12. All right, here we go with 19. These are just like fractions. So what can I reduce? 5 and 5. 9 and 9. So really it's just the square root of 1 times the square root of 1, which is just what? 1. I don't know, for whatever reason that's confusing kids. All right. Now same with 21. I don't know why this is a problem, but it is. Write a fraction bar. Now, 11 over 22 reduces to what?
1 over 2.
1 over 2. And then square root of 15 and square root of 5 reduces to? Reduces to what? Radical 3. Beautiful. Radical 3. So technically your answer is just the square root of 3 over 2. Because 1 times square root of 3 is just square root of 3. If you leave it in this format, I wouldn't care. Everybody good with that? All right, come on, keep with me. Make sure you're following along. 9 radical 3 minus 5 radical 3. Yeah, hopefully it's making better sense now when I say that. You have 9 radical 3's, you're subtracting 5 radical 3's, you end up with 4 radical 3. Okay, what is perfect squares probably in 54? 9 times what? Yeah, and again, I'm trying to remind you that because there's a 6 over here, there's probably a 6 in the other one. All right, so break it down. So this would be 3 times 9 times 6 minus 2 radical 6. So now the square root of 9 is what? 3, right?
Yeah, so it's 9 radical 6 minus 2.
9 radical 6 minus 2 radical 6, which is
7 radical 6.
7 radical 6. All right, 27. What am I doing to 18? Not 6 and 3. 9 times 2. Now, how many times are we going to have to do 32? 32 is what? 16 and 2. Perfect. Not 8 and 4. 16 and 2. Square root of 9 is what? So that becomes... Right. There we go. We're getting better. And then... Right. Minus 20 radical 2. So that gives me... Negative 50 radical 2. Perfect. All right. I'm pretty happy. Anybody have any questions with that? All right, here we go. 29. Yep, all we're doing is multiplying the top and bottom by radical 3. 4 radical 3 over 3. Okay. Multiplying by radical 5. Yes. Told you it's very simple. Very simple. Good.
I think I missed this, but
Yes,
why
you
would
did.
multiply by a radical?
Because you're not allowed to have square roots in the denominator.
Okay.
That's the rule. No square roots in the denominator. So all you do is multiply the top and bottom by whatever's in the denominator. Okay, here we go. 25. Now, keep in mind, this and this are going to do what to each other? Exactly.
So it's 25
Minus 3. Beautiful. Which is what? 22. Easy enough. What? I'm listening.
So I don't understand how you got minus 3.
What's the square root of 3 times the square root of 3?
Okay, 3.
So I got it.
Okay, I understand.
All right, here we go. 35. Remember, write it as 5 minus radical 3 times 5 minus radical 3.
So 25
25.
minus 5 radical 3 minus 5 and then plus
Perfect. Now just combining terms, which makes it
22.
20 what?
Oh wait, 28.
28.
Minus 10.
Yeah, the biggest mistake kids make on that is they just go 25 minus. All right, that minus has nothing to do. It's the plus 3. What?
I don't. How did you get to the plus 3? Like other. Like,
Negative times a negative is a...
positive. But I thought those were the ones that were in 5 radical.
I don't know what you're talking about. This right here, the first thing I do is I go 5 times 5 and I get 25, right?
Yes.
Then I multiply this times this and I get this, right?
Yeah.
Then I multiply this times this and I get this.
And then you. Okay.
Then I multiply this times this and I get this.
Okay. Got it.
That's all we're doing. All right. Okay, yeah, this one's kind of annoying, so come on. Try to stay with me now. All right, let's highlight together. This, someone tell me. Come on, Hanson, I hope you're paying attention. What's that times that?
8 radical 35.
Good job. 8 radical 35. Okay, now I'm going to do the middle smiley face. What's this?
Minus 12.
Good. Minus 12 radical 7. Now I'm doing this smiley face. And now, minus what? Exactly. Can I combine anything? Nope, that is the answer. That's the answer because I cannot combine any of the radicals. 6 times 7 is what? Right? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So 39, what am I multiplying the top and bottom by?
Radical 5.
Just radical 5.
So 2 radical 5 minus radical 13 over 15.
Beautiful. Come on, everybody should be able to say that. Any issues? All right, here we go. Is that the end? Yay, the end. All right. Now listen, honestly, guys, it really isn't that hard. All right, it's just a different way of thinking about numbers. All right. So now you have to do the evens. Just do the evens. All right. I'm not sure what time the bell rings. How much time do we have?
7 minutes.
All right. So if I have 7 minutes, I'm going to call you to my desk and we'll see what you're doing. Just multiply the top and bottom by radical 13. You hear me?
But it's 13 and 13.
Square root of 13 times square root of 13 is 13.
I'm saying that one at the top. Wouldn't it be 7 radical 13 plus 13
Over what?
over 13?
Yeah, girl, what are you asking me?
Because
What?
we haven't done that where it's like
It's the same exact as number 7.
No, because it's not multiplying radical 3's at the top.
Just tell me the answer.
No, I got it.
So what do you want me to do?
No, that was it. Mr. Strauss.
Yes. You're just multiplying the top and bottom by what?
2. And 7, wait.
Radical 7.
So
But the
would it
first
be-
thing you should do is reduce the 14 and the 2.
So would it be 7 radical 7 over 7?
And then
And then reduce by 1?
7s.
So it'd be 1 radical 7.
Yeah, you got it. Good.